Welcome into the Question Number 9 podcast. My name is Seth Warner, and today we're talking about Kentucky basketball from a fan's perspective. Today is Selection Sunday. That means Kentucky's bracket in the NCAA bracket came out today, and it came out that Kentucky is playing Oakland. They're a 3 seed playing the 14 Oakland, and this is going to be an interesting matchup because it's defense versus offense, offensive teams in the country versus Oakland, a top 15 team in defense in the country. One of Oakland's best players is Trey Town. He's been averaging 17 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists on 45% from the field. He's not particularly a good shooter. This whole team isn't particularly a good shooting team. They're only shooting about 35% from 3. And this is very much a defense and offense, like I was saying, where Kentucky is very explosive and has multiple options and has multiple guys that are close to 20 points per game, where Towns, like I was saying, Oakland only has one guy that's 17 points per game, but they have multiple guys that are getting in that 12-ish point mark, where they have 3 guys that are 10 or more, that are 10 to 15 points, and they have 4 guys that are double figures. And they're kind of a very balanced offensive team, where it seems like Trey does most of their offense, where he leads the team in assists, rebounds, and actually turnovers. He has 2 turnovers a game, and he's a very good big guard at 6'6". He doesn't, like I said, doesn't shoot the ball well. The team doesn't shoot the ball well from 3 either, as only shooting 35% from 3. And we just don't need to underestimate this Oakland team, because they're one of these underdog teams that are really good at shutting down teams from 3. They're only allowing, they're very dynamic on defense and are an okay rebounding team. They're averaging 35.7 rebounds per game. While they're not a huge team overall, where their biggest guy is 6'9". Hopefully Kentucky and Trey Mitchell and some of those other guys can use their length to advantage on switches, and that was something that was important from the last game, is we saw Trey Mitchell play better. And hopefully he can impact this game with some of his versatility and matchup disparity for some of these teams. And yeah, right now Kentucky is averaging on the season 89.4 points per game, while Oakland is averaging 76.4 points per game. And while Kentucky is allowing 79.7 points per game, Oakland is allowing 72.9 points per game. And both of these teams are kind of the opposites, like I was saying. But Oakland won their conference tournament. For BPI ranking, they're 130th, and Kentucky is 21. We'll just see if Kentucky can come out and shoot the ball well against a really good defensive Oakland team that understands that they're more experienced, and see if they can create this game close. But I don't think this game will end up being really close for the Wildcats versus Oakland, just because I think Kentucky will be really aggressive and really ready to play. Because like I said in my last episode, Kentucky has been really good off losses. Their last loss was against LSU before the Texas A&M loss, and they went on a 7-game winning streak after that. And Kentucky just kind of matches up favorably how Kentucky plays against this Oakland team, just because we like to score a lot. We don't turn the ball over this year a lot, and we shoot the 3-ball well. And that's some of their strengths. And I think we can be a good enough defensive team that we can hold them about at their season average. And I think the score of this game will be 90-78. I think Kentucky will win by 12, where they'll pull away at the end and just create some free throws. It'll be about a 9 to 10 point game the whole game, and then we'll just pull away at the end. And looking at Kentucky's bracket, there's many different teams in this bracket, in this region, to say Houston is the number 1 seed, Marquette's the number 2 seed, we're the number 3 seed, Duke is the number 4 seed, Wisconsin, a very hot team coming in, is the number 5 seed, and Texas Tech is the 6th seed, and Florida is the 7th seed, and Nebraska is the 8th seed. Texas A&M, I think a very dangerous team in this bracket that beat Kentucky just on Friday, is very dangerous. And Wisconsin, like I said, was the 5 seed. And then the 10 seed will be decided in a play-in game. And in the 11 seed is NC State, another dangerous team. In my bracket, I picked NC State to beat Texas Tech because of some of their interior and some of their guard advantages. Because NC State shoots the ball really well, and they have a good big guy that they can get it to, and they're hard to double. They're a team that's very hard to double team. Their big guy, because he does pass it well too. And overall, I think Kentucky ended up with a good bracket and has put themselves in a pretty good position by ending up having a 3 seed. And like I was saying, Texas A&M is a very dangerous team. In my bracket, I had them beating Houston in the round of 32, just because I really like how they have 2 guards that can really score. They can rebound the ball really well, and they're a pretty good defensive team. And with Houston really thrives off offensive rebounds and turnovers. When you have really good guards and when you really rebound, that can neutralize some of that second chance points and some of those little things that I think Houston takes advantage from 90% of teams in the country. And NC State in my bracket is who I have Kentucky playing. I think that's a good matchup for the Wildcats because some of the speed disparities. NC State has a big guy that's like 275 at 6'9". He's not the most mobile in the world, so I think Kentucky can really run him down, up and down the floor. For Kentucky and Oakland, that game is on Thursday at 7:10, and overall I think just Kentucky ended up in a pretty good bracket because the bottom half, like the 7 and the 2 seed, each have some injuries. Like Marquette, their point guard's hurt. The Florida had a guy that got really badly injured in their game today in the SEC tournament, SEC championship game, and I think some of the injuries, and Florida has some other injuries that they're dealing with. And I think overall it's kind of moved in Kentucky's favor. And another dangerous team, I think, in the East bracket is Morehead State. Morehead State has a really good big guy forward that can do a lot of different things. He's about 6'9", can post up, can give you moves, can get to a spot, can do a lot of variation of different things. And another guy that I think, another team that will give teams trouble is Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State could give North Carolina a chance just because they have that combination that I think is really great. You got a good guard put with a really good big guy. Tolu Smith, their big guy, and their point guard Josh Hubbard is a really good combination, and they can give it to him on the post. They can run pick and roll. I think the 3 main categories for a team that really needs to make a deep run for me when I'm filling out my bracket is, does a team have a really good lead guard? Do they have an action that they can get their best player in? And kind of similar to having a really good lead guard, they need to have someone to initiate that and organize everything. And they need to be able to, like I was saying, have a set that they can slow it down and be able to figure things out. If you can do that, you can control a pace of a game and you can get yourself in a good position. And you just need to be able to rebound as well. That's something that Kentucky does not do well, but I think with Trey Mitchell getting more healthy, he can help on that front. And another interesting matchup coming up is Tennessee and St. Peter's. As most of you know, that Kentucky played St. Peter's and they upset the Wildcats 2 years ago. And that's just interesting. It's a 2 and actually a 15th, the same seeds that Kentucky and St. Peter's were the last time the Wildcats played the Peacocks. And another interesting matchup is Kansas and Samford. I think this is a very interesting upset scenario just because Kansas is coming to this game very hurt. And they, like I was saying, multiple guys out that we're not sure if they're going to be here for the NCAA tournament. It's just still all up in the air. And those are some of the interesting ones. A team that I think is really dangerous is Iowa State. We all know that they blew out Houston. I think they're very dangerous. I'm not sure about Marquette. I'm not sure about their injury situation. And overall, I think Kentucky ended up in a pretty good bracket, like I said. And I think another team that was in my Final Four was Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga has a really good combination of good big guys and good guards. And they have good size on the interior. That's something Kentucky struggles with. And you have to be able to do one of two things. You got to be able to get your guard, get someone the ball, and have someone to get it to him. Or you got to have a guard that can go get his own whenever he has it in his hands. And I think Gonzaga has both. Their point guard is really good. He's one of the best assist guys in the country. And their big guy that really hurt Kentucky is really good at post-ups. He's really physical, and he can really rebound. And that's one of Kentucky's biggest weaknesses, like I said, was rebounding. And I think if Kentucky can control the pace of the game, and that would be an interesting rematch if Kentucky and Gonzaga ended up in the Final Four together. And that's all from the Question Number 9 podcast. My name is Seth Warner, and if you're listening to us on podcast, please leave a review. And if you're listening to us on YouTube, please subscribe. And you can find us at Quest for Number 9 on Instagram. That's all, and have a good night.